Welcome to the Bold Podcast. I'm Todd Burge, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and mental fitness coach. I'm here to help you unlock your leadership potential and ignite your personal growth. On The Bold, my guests and I will dive into inspiring stories of transformation, showing how small mindset shifts can lead to life-changing benefits. We'll explore strategies for overcoming challenges, building high-performance habits, and leading with confidence. If you're ready to embrace a growth mindset and unlock your full potential, then let's ignite your spark today. Hey guys, I'm so excited about this solo cast. I haven't done one of these in quite some time, but this topic is something that I'm passionate about. So today we're going to dive into perfection kills progress. So perfection, it sounds nice, right? But what if I told you that the very pursuit of perfection is keeping you stuck? Could your need for everything to be flawless actually be holding you back from your full potential? As the great Brené Brown once said, perfectionism is not the key to success, it is the enemy of success. Well, that's exactly what I've learned over the years. And today I'm going to share why perfection kills progress and how letting go of that need for perfection is one of the most powerful things you can do for your personal growth. Let me take you back to a recent experience. At the Disrupt HR event in Ann Arbor that I spoke at a couple months ago, I delivered a talk that challenged the audience to embrace discomfort and build a growth-oriented culture. Now here's the twist. The slide that got the most attention wasn't one with the greatest insights. It was one that simply said, perfection kills progress. I knew in that moment I had to dig deeper into that concept. But what you probably don't know is that that talk was the hardest one I've ever given. It was just 5 minutes long, 20 slides, rotating every 15 seconds, but I had no control of the slides. And I mean, I practiced, no joke, over 100 times. Yet, when I stood on that stage and delivered that talk, it still wasn't perfect. And you know what? I was okay with that. Yeah, I wasn't focused on perfection anymore. I had shifted my mindset from trying to control every small detail to simply embracing the journey. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. Why perfectionism keeps us stuck and how embracing imperfection leads to growth. Here's what perfectionism really does to us. It holds us back. It keeps us in a box. You start thinking, oh, it's not good enough. I need to keep refining it. But here's the catch. You're not moving forward. You're staying stagnant because you're afraid of making mistakes. When you're striving for perfection, you end up avoiding risks, holding back your creativity, and stifling innovation. You're playing it safe, not giving yourself the room to experiment like a scientist and grow. I know because I used to be that person. I had perfectionist printed on my business card. I used it as an icebreaker at networking events. But I've changed. Now I scratch out perfectionists and I hand them out. It's actually an even better icebreaker. People always ask, why'd you do that? And I tell them, because perfectionism was holding me back. I'm not a perfectionist anymore. It was a wall I built between me and my growth. So let's dig a bit deeper into the concept of a fixed mindset, which is often where perfectionism takes root. Think about someone like John McEnroe, the famous tennis player. Anyone remember him? His game was powerful. He had natural, raw talent, but he was known best for his emotional outburst on the court. Yeah, he was like a little baby throwing temper tantrums. I know, because that was me. In fact, I had the afro and the sweatband, and my friends called me McEnroe. But why? Because he couldn't handle making mistakes. His perfectionism was a sign of a fixed mindset, a belief that failure was unacceptable and that mistakes meant weakness. Carol Dweck, the author of Mindset, says, the fixed mindset limits us to believing that we are either good at something or not. The growth mindset allows us to believe we can change, grow, and get better with effort. See, McEnroe couldn't embrace mistakes because his mindset was stuck in perfectionism. He was in a fixed mindset. But the truth is, failure isn't the enemy. It's often the best teacher we have. McEnroe could have been the best tennis player that ever played the game. Beautifully raw talent. But he was in his head all the time. Now let's talk about how perfectionism is connected to positive intelligence, my coaching program. In the positive intelligence program, we focus on identifying saboteurs, those inner voices that are holding us back. Two of the saboteurs tied to perfectionism are the controller and the hyperachiever. The controller wants to have everything under control. Everything must be perfect or we'll fail. The hyperachiever saboteur tells us you're only good enough when you succeed or do everything absolutely perfectly. But here's the kicker. The underlying strength of these saboteurs is that they're motivated by a desire to perform well and have control, which are positive traits when used correctly. But when we let those voices dominate, they sabotage our progress and keep us from truly learning and growing. The trick is learning to distinguish between the saboteurs that are holding us back and the inner voice that guides us towards progress. So what does all this mean for your leadership? Well, if you're constantly striving for perfection, you're actually hurting your ability to lead. Here's why. Perfectionism creates an environment where failure isn't accepted, innovation isn't encouraged, and risk-taking is avoided altogether. As a leader, if you're stuck in this mindset, yeah, your team will be too. You're a leader, you're at the top. Everything trickles down to your teammates. They'll see you avoiding mistakes and they'll mirror that behavior. Just like a parent with their kids. A culture that values perfection isn't one that fosters creativity. It stifles it. But when you embrace imperfection, you create a culture where failure is part of the process, where mistakes are seen as opportunities to grow. That's when true leadership emerges. I've seen it. I've been there. I've lived it firsthand. As Richard Branson wisely puts it, you don't learn to walk by following the rules. You learn by doing and by falling over. The key to great leadership is allowing yourself and your team to fall over and rise again. Now, let's take a step into the world of wabi-sabi. Yeah, you heard me right. Wabi-sabi. Say it with me. Wabi-sabi. Never gets old. But I will tell you what, this is a Japanese philosophy that celebrates the beauty in imperfection and transience. I absolutely love Japanese philosophy, and I love me some wabi-sabi. It's about appreciating the imperfect, the unfinished, and the unconventional. In wabi-sabi, there is a deep respect for the natural cycles of growth, decay, and the beauty that emerges from it. Just like the seasons of life, just like the 4 seasons that we experience in nature. Wabi-sabi reminds us that life is full of cracks, chips, and imperfections, but it's in those very things that true beauty is found. So I want you to think about a handmade ceramic mug with cracks or a weathered table. These imperfections, they tell a story. They give the object character and uniqueness, a reflection of its history and its journey throughout time. And this philosophy doesn't just apply to objects. It applies to us too. Wabi-sabi invites us to appreciate the flaws in our lives. What a concept, right? The moments of struggle, the mistakes, and the imperfections we experience are what makes us human. These cracks don't diminish our value. They make us whole. If we stop chasing perfection and embrace the idea that life's messiness is beautiful, we can unlock so much more potential. Wabi-sabi encourages us to release the need for perfection and instead find the richness in imperfection. It invites us to see that growth is not about being flawless like a diamond with the 5 C's, but about being real, vulnerable, and evolving. Think about it this way. Perfectionism and wabi-sabi couldn't be more opposite. Perfectionism tells us that something is only valuable if it meets an idealized standard, whereas wabi-sabi encourages us to find value in the cracks and the rough edges, in the parts that are unfinished or flawed. When we strive for perfection, we tend to overlook the growth that happens during the messy, imperfect process. We have to embrace the journey, embrace the process. But when we embrace wabi-sabi, we learn to see beauty in the imperfections and appreciate the journey rather than fixating on the destination. We'll be right back after this short message. Hey, it's Todd again. Did you know that mental fitness is the secret weapon for transformational leadership? Your mind may be sabotaging you, leading you down a path of stress and negativity, but it doesn't have to be this way. If you're ready to unlock the resilience to empower yourself and the team you lead, listen up. Through the Positive Intelligence Program, PQ for short, I help leaders build mental strength, manage stress, and increase emotional intelligence. Imagine reducing burnout, improving your relationships, and increasing performance, all backed by neuroscience. Look, I'm living proof of its power, having rewired my brain after building my mental fitness with PQ over the last 5 years. Are you ready to build yours? Visit toddbirch.com for more information, and let's get a free consultation scheduled today. Now back to the show. What if we let go of perfection and started to see the beauty in our own imperfections and mistakes? What if we could embrace the wabi-sabi way of life, accepting that cracks and bumps along the way make us who we are and make our lives richer and more authentic? Take Thomas Edison. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." 10,000 ways. Edison's success didn't come from getting everything perfect the first time, but from his ability to embrace failure as a step toward progress. In fact, many of his greatest inventions were born out of trial and error, not perfection. This approach is so important because innovation and progress come from stepping out of the boundaries of perfection. Edison's work ethic wasn't about being flawless. It was about pushing forward, learning, and improving. We can all take a page from his book and embrace experimentation without the fear of failure. Remember the light bulb or phonograph? Yeah, 10,000 failures to get to that successful innovation. So how do we overcome perfectionism? How do we move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? First, we need to focus on progress, not perfection. It's not about getting everything right the first time. It's about trying, failing, learning, and trying again. Rinse and repeat. So here are some practical tips. Number 1, set realistic goals and expectations. Perfection, it's an illusion. Aim for progress instead. Number 2, embrace failure. It's not the end, it's a lesson. I think we all know this. We see it on social media all the time. We just need to embrace it. Number 3, celebrate experimentation. Take risks, try new things, and don't be afraid of making mistakes. See yourself as a scientist. And finally, number 4, cultivate self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you fall short, because you will fall short, because you're going out of your comfort zone, embracing some discomfort. You're going to fail. But growth takes time. We need to embrace those failures. Have self-compassion. So I think about authors a lot, and I listen to a few podcasts with authors who've just released new books. And most authors will tell you that the moment they publish their book, they immediately think of additional content they wish they had included. It's just like me with this podcast. I've been working on this episode for a long time. Each week, I keep adding to it. And I'm going to publish this, and the minute I publish it, I'm going to think of 5 new things. But you know what? I just need to get it out there. The truth is, it's never perfect. If you wait for it to be flawless, the book, the podcast, it might lose its relevance. The key is to publish now, knowing you can always release a second book or a revised edition later. Like Seth Godin always says, the MVP model, the most viable product. He's a big believer in just get it out there, iterate, get some feedback. That all comes from being in a growth mindset. Put perfectionism aside. Get your product out there. Get your idea out there. So here's your challenge for the week. Pick one project in your life, whether personal or professional, that you've been holding on to because you want it to be perfect. Now, take one step toward imperfection. Release it before it's perfect. Share it with someone, publish it, or just let it be unfinished and see how that feels. I promise you'll gain more from letting go than you ever will from trying to make it perfect. Self-compassion is the antidote to perfectionism. It's about being kind to yourself when you fall short, acknowledging that you are human and recognizing that it's okay to make mistakes. After all, self-compassion is simply giving the same kindness to ourselves that we would give to others. But we have a hard time with self-compassion, right? We'll do everything for our kids, but when it's time for us, we're always second fiddle. Next time you feel yourself being critical of your progress, ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? If not, then be gentle to yourself. In the positive intelligence framework, one of the key ways we break free from perfectionism is by recognizing when our controller or hyperachiever saboteurs are at work. By using the PQ tools, we activate our sage mind, focusing on curiosity, empathy, and creativity. We can move past the need for everything to be perfect. This allows us to embrace imperfection and focus on learning, growth, and progress instead. When you choose progress over perfection, you unlock your potential to innovate, lead, and connect with others more authentically. Over time, you'll notice that you're more resilient, more creative, and more willing to take on challenges. In fact, the more you embrace imperfection, the more likely you are to make long-term strides toward success, both in your career and your personal growth. Perfectionism kills progress. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of fear, self-doubt, and missed opportunities. But here's the good news. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to start and keep growing. As Albert Einstein once said, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. So I encourage you to take one small step toward imperfection today. Embrace the messiness. Experiment like a scientist. Fail and learn, because that's where real growth happens, my friends. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bolt Podcast. I appreciate you spending some time with us today, and it's been a pleasure being part of your journey toward growth, transformation, and leadership. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and leave a review. It truly helps us reach more people like you. Interested in taking your leadership to the next level? Visit toddbirch.com to learn more about my keynote speaking, corporate training programs, and my positive intelligence coaching. Look, I'm here to help you build the mental resilience and leadership skills that drive lasting change. And remember, progress comes from small, consistent steps. Keep moving forward, my friends. And before we wrap, a quick reminder that the information shared on the Bolt Podcast, along with anything from toddbirch.com or all my social media channels, is for informational and educational purposes only. We all need support, and if you're seeking meaningful guidance, one of the best things you can do is talk to a licensed professional, whether that's a physician, therapist, or coach. Hey guys, take care of yourself, stay kind to your mind, and remember, help is always available when you need it. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.